So I respectfully acknowledge that we are on lands that are actually part of different ancestral territories, and that we, largely as settlers, are possibly uninvited guests here on these lands, and that I would like to acknowledge that we are benefiting from the wisdom and the stewardship of those ancestral territories and the peoples that have come before us, and that I acknowledge certainly in my area that the territories are unceded, that they are without treaty, and that they are being shared in spite of that with us as being part of the land and the landscape, and that in that landscape there's not only us as humans, but there's every other being on the land, and that without the land we would not be here, and that respecting and understanding the land and all the beings and the interwoven web of life is one of the ways that we can honor the fact that we are here, and that we have a place, but we're not the only beings that we are not the primary beings in this web of life. I would like to acknowledge in particular my relationship with the Siuslaw Nation, who are the Coast Salish peoples who claim these territories, and who have invited me, certainly in my family, into their communities in many different ways over the years, and have enriched my life and possibly helped me to transform as the person I am now into the person I am now. So it's with love and respect that I acknowledge these peoples and all of the Indigenous peoples on the land in this world. At this point, let's go around the circle, and I see that the circle today is going to consist of April, Linda, Pam, and Roland. So going around and just doing a brief check-in. And I think the question for today could be, how are the spring rains helping to germinate something in you? Just looked out our window. We have spring rain, and there's a different quality to it, I think, than some other kinds of rain. So the question is, how are the spring rains helping germinate something in you? And actually, I'm going to pass on to Linda, and I'll answer later on. So Linda.
Well, we have indeed have had some spring rains here in the desert, which is unusual. Last year we didn't have any water at all, and about the same time I went walking, and it was just dead, dead. But now on my cross-country walks, we have a variety of purple and yellow and white flowers, wildflowers everywhere. It's just utterly gorgeous. And we still see the snow on the mountains. So it's like a whole new place out here. And in terms of germinating something for me, I think I checked in on this somewhere. Maybe it was on the last tensions session, but I'm involved in, I feel like a spring chicken in that I'm possibly going down this travel path by getting a certificate in travel tour management. So that's what's germinating right now. So I'll pass over to you. I think it was Pamela, and then Roland.
Hmm. Yeah, on the sort of blatant side of it, I was just listening to a radio show, Quirks and Quarks, on water, the state of water on a global level, and the dire state of our rivers, our aquifers, our ice packs, snow packs. So um, that's that's something that just is right front of mind metaphorically. Germinating in me. Well, I'm a little bit wrecked today. I didn't get much sleep and I've just been bouncing around from one thing to the next. So I don't feel too germinating, but um, just generally overall, I have a strong feeling of there being something in the air on a cultural level that seems to be humbling itself before the obvious state of our global situation. And there seems to be an opening and willingness to take a take less of a non-human centric approach to um, there's more sensitivity for trees, water, our environment in general, and the decentering of the human, hopefully increasing in decision making. And so that does feel like something that is like a little seed that's broken through the ground. Heaven only hopes that it takes. So Roland.
Yeah, I am just there's all sorts of cycles within cycles. I am in a death cycle. Yesterday I helped a rooster pass, um, and Ben is away possibly for the last time to visit his father. And so there's all sorts of different cycles. So over April.
I do feel, well, not only do I feel like there's something germinating in me, I'm waking up every morning with a new spring light, really, with songs in my head. Some time ago, I trained myself to be in that state early in the mornings to do that. And then that was overrun by life. And now it's germinated itself anyway, without any conscious thought on my part. So it's kind of like an unexpected gift. So I have to figure out what to do with that. So that's my state at the moment. Now at this point, I was going to look at the agreements. Oh, would you like to give us the Asana page again, Roland? That's great. So I'd like to very quickly review which agreements that by now are probably familiar to all of us, and to ask if you're fine with those, and if there's anything else that you want to add in terms of being able to show up for this meeting today. So the agreements, we are all in this together. In our work and in this session, you do have choice. So there's no coercion involved in the work. You can choose to not be part of it or to be part of it as you like, but just to point out that choices do have consequences. Asking that we lead with curiosity and kindness and patience, compassion and gentleness, And all of those I have trouble with. Some days I'm better some days at that than other days. I'm better some days at being kind with myself. But I find it useful to just keep you reminded that it's a possibility to be that way. Asking that we listen for understanding before we give our opinion. Being informed about something and finding out what other people think about it first is probably a good way to proceed. Speaking from the heart, what is true for you? Remember that the context we are in always is one of both and. It is not binary. It's not either or. So remembering to add in that if we're missing that. And as always, we mention the possibility of having fun, finding the humor, keeping it simple, being playful if possible. We know that both work and learning go on more smoothly if that's part of that. And a reminder that this session is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube. So let me just go around and see if this is fine with everybody and if there's anything else to add. Linda.
I have nothing else to add. Sounds good to me.
Pamela.
I love these agreements. They're so helpful and sobering. Roland.
These are good for me. Back to you, April.
Okay, thank you. Sobering, as Pamela says. So this meeting today is the Heartwork and Philosophy Guild meeting. So welcome, Guild members. We are indeed in a transition of learning to work in a guild with guild processes and sort of figuring out what our role is as guild members. And a reminder that this guild is about emotional intelligence. It's about the heart. It's about creating opportunities for us all to develop deeper relationships with ourselves and with each other and with everything else in our context. There are I would also say that this guild acts as kind of a signpost, I suppose, for other guilds, in that we will let people know what our processes are, and we'll invite people to use those processes in their guilds as well if they wish to. And we are kind of the, I don't know if you would call us a temperature gauge or witness to what's going on in terms of having emotional intelligence and collaborative ways filtering into other guilds, I suppose. And our responsibilities, which sort of follow on from that, are building and deepening internal relationships. That would be relationships within our guild. We are responsible for celebrations and conviviality. And I'd be interested actually in hearing everybody's definition of conviviality. This guild also deals with experimental spirituality, which helps us with a reconnection to the land and what might be termed re-indigenation, becoming aware of what we might have been like and how we would work together without colonial or oppressive systems, I suppose. This guild also would deal with issues like grief work or personal healing. And we act as a lens, which I referred to earlier, actually. We also are responsible to keep the circle process and the agreements, which are foundational, fundamental and really basic. And that means that we will continue to remind ourselves and everybody else of what the circle process is and what the agreements are, and checking on them to make sure that we're still aligned with them. We have an agenda, which I see seems to be under subtasks. And we can pass around responsibilities for being note taker and keeper of the circle for the session. I'm willing to do that for today, but would pass it on at other times. We also are responsible for establishing some badges for sort of continual improvement and skill building for all of us and anyone else who's involved. We haven't established yet what the badges could be, or we haven't even designed them, I don't think.
Yeah, I think those are notes that Ben put in from last week. Sorry, this is we still have to establish the agenda. Yeah, sorry.
All right, so obviously from the last discussion, then establishing these sort of things were on our mind. So I think probably that at some point, Roland and I should report on what happened with the coordinating circle and also what happened to the tasks that we talked about last time. Are there other things that people would like to have as part of the agenda?
Yeah, I added the electing a note taker and possibly circle keeper, and I should have put that as an item in the lower agenda. So I'm going to move that down.
Great.
There's also we had also started talking about the book, about potentially a book club.
Yeah.
And
I think, sorry, go ahead, April.
I was going to add another item, which was the reviewing the 6 conversations system. Sorry, back to you, Roland.
Is the 6 conversations, is that a possible book that we would read?
It's a system based on a book of powerful, incisive questions about kind of what it is we're doing. And I've started to review what that system is. I haven't got all the way through it yet. And I have some comments on that, but I'm not sure if this is the place to do that. And Pamela has just put in the chat the reference to the book. Thank you. Maybe we can just
yeah, sorry.
I was just going to suggest we go around the circle and see if there's anything else to add to the list, and then that we start engaging with those items. Does that make sense, Roland? Okay, Linda, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the agenda?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Pamela?
It's pretty packed.
Mm-hmm. And Roland?
I think probably the first item might be prioritizing. There are some items that we may not need to cover today, so that if we can get to them, great, and if not, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Okay. We haven't mentioned how long this meeting is going to take today. Are we slated for an hour? That's what I had in my calendar, but I'm not sure if that was the agreement.
And that's something that we can discuss. I was thinking an hour is good. Today, an hour would be ideal, given that I am actually at work and am able to take some time to do this. We can have it today, and then we can have it in future, how long we'd want the meeting to be. So maybe we can just do a quick round about that.
Okay. Well, an hour is fine for me today. Linda?
Yeah, an hour is great because I'm up to here. I was in a 3 hour and a half dialogue this morning, so I'm pretty zoomed out, and I have other Zoom work I have to do. So an hour would be great.
And Pamela?
Sounds good.
Good. Great. Thank you. All right. I'm going to propose we start with our report from the coordinating circle. Oh, I should also mention what the role of the caretakers is for this guild, I guess, or for any guild. And Roland and I are co-caretakers of this particular guild. And the role is not to be the director or the person who decides things or people who decide things. It is to be kind of a broker and a delegator and a note taker. Anything else, Roland, that we're supposed to be doing?
Essentially, point person.
Right. And we are also the people that attend the coordinating circle weekly meeting to bring concerns, problems, discussions, ideas, whatever, from guild members to make sure that they're put on the agenda for the coordinating circle and discussed. And then if there's conclusions to that, we'll bring that back, I would think, to the guild. So it's more of a kind of brokering role than a particularly leader role. Am I right, Roland, in that?
Yeah.
Okay. Coordinating circle report. I'm looking to you, Roland.
Okay, I'm really not good at this kind of thing. The thing that I remember in particular, there was talk about at our last Heartwork Guild meeting, we had talked about what if the Lifeboat circle conversations would be Heartwork or outreach. And during the coordination circle, my understanding was and became that because the Lifeboat Circle conversations have to do with introducing people to the idea of the Lifeboat network, that it was more sort of the image for the outreach guild is like the tendrils reaching out into the world. So things having to do with new people or connecting with other organizations, that kind of thing would be more outreach, while the Heartwork Guild would be is more sort of the knowledge keepers of the ideas and philosophies that inform the Lifeboat Academy. So the so anyway, that also means I think that it's sort of talking through the conceptual envelope for things like the book club. You know, if yeah, I think it indicates. Anyway, I'm not going into report now. I'm going into interpretation. So that was my understanding concerning things like the different types of events that could take place and how we relate with internal versus external organisms. Anything to add to that, April?
No, except to say that we brought forward the agenda ideas of the book club and the 6 conversations as something that we were looking at least, and possibly would engage more deeply with. There was also some discussion on onboarding, what that meant, who was doing what, and the use of technologies, and then a reference to the 3 sessions that have been planned for Slack and Asana and Sociocracy, I think. And I think 2 of those have happened and 1 has been postponed. Am I right in that, Roland?
I think the Sociocracy was supposed to take place tomorrow, and it is up to Ben if he thinks that that's something that he can take on. I haven't heard if a decision's been taken either way. As far as I know, if it's still on your calendars, or if you haven't received a notice and you were planning on attending, then it's still on the docket.
Okay. You could probably tell from the nature of our back and forth conversation that we're still sorting out lots of details, and that we're still figuring out exactly what the role of this guild is, and have not yet, as far as I know, had conversations with other guilds to find out where the overlap might be happening. That will become more clear as we go on with this process, I think. Any questions, Linda?
No, no, I'm just I'm feeling a little bit some tension between not really understanding, how we're prioritizing, and also understanding because I have sat through the last networking and outreach, and it seems to me that what we're trying to do here is to do sort of the inner journey that we then take out in the outreach and network areas of activity. So I would think things like book groups, things that we're focusing on. I don't know what the 6, I looked briefly. Thank you, Pamela. I have it up. I've been looking at it. It looks great. Processes that could be shared in other such groups, we should be taking that on. Whereas a network, an outreach group should really be the ones that take it out. Like we should explore various things, and then the network and outreach group should be actually connecting up, putting things on the website, and then, sort of giving them away, if you will. But we should be the ones that kind of go through it first and make sure it's a useful process or a useful book or whatever we are taking on. So I just wanted to maybe put that out as how I'm thinking about what we're trying to do together.
Thanks. Pamela, any questions?
No, and actually what you were just saying, Linda, sounds like an interesting distinction, way of looking at those possibilities. So thanks for that. And Roland?
Agreed. I think that's a really good way of looking at the difference between the two. I would agree. I think also that the Heartwork Guild uh, would implement the different things like the book club and the 6 conversations in the farm on the farm itself. Um, yeah. So, and in fact, it was one of the ideas with the 6 conversations was to have it to in part test it out and in part to use it to help um, everyone who is involved in the Lifeboat Academy develop a deeper understanding of the Lifeboat Academy, what it is and why it exists, and as part of this ongoing, we I think one of the ways that we describe it is that it's like the oral tradition where we want things to be able to respond to conditions and not get mired down into law books. So having these types of conversations and exploring these types of conversations are meant to help to keep things fresh and relevant. So yeah, I'm talking a lot. I think I'm a little unfocused. I'm going to pass over to you, April.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think there's usable distinctions amongst guilds. I also think I agree that uh, we should implement things and sort of test them out, as sort of our projects are to try out some stuff, do the experimentation, and then report back and what it is that we're looking at and experimenting with, maybe again fundamental ways of working that we kind of want to help instill everywhere. And in that regard, I do have a couple of things to say about the 6 conversations system. So I guess this is the place to say that.
Where are we in the on the agenda?
Well, we were talking about just what we've brought, I guess, to the agenda and clarifying a few things. Yeah, so I guess my question was, do I talk about 6 conversations here, or do we need to do something else first?
Or are you asking me or
Yes, I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that the first thing that we have on the agenda is prioritizing the topics. We haven't done that yet. We've done the coordinating circle report. I would suggest that we sort of decide. So we've done that. That we decide in which order we want to tackle this stuff.
Okay.
So what would be the best way to do that?
Well, we only have 15 minutes left. My sense is that we we talk, I mean, it seems like the two decisions or two areas that we could be helpful for the academy is the book club development, if we could make some headway there, just deciding on how we're going to decide that. And then April, if you could give us just an overview of the 6 conversation systems and maybe what would be the next step towards moving towards reviewing that and doing it as a group. So I guess I'd be interested in tackling those two if we thought we could make some progress in those areas.
Pamela? Oh, thumbs up from Pamela. Great. Roland?
That seems like a good place to start. I had originally suggested the book club because I wanted us to do something, to learn by doing.
Mhm.
And I think that I'm glad that it's taking, and that it seems to be working. So I'm good with that. Yeah, over to you, April.
Okay, do we have a suggested format for the book club? Is that something, is the book club exclusive to us until we read the book? Or is this open to all the guilds, and that we collectively choose a book and then have a separate meeting that is a book club time, I guess, are my questions about that.
Well,
Other,
my suggestion is that if we have amongst ourselves right now some books that we might brainstorm, and maybe since we are this group, we want to pick it. We could either just read it amongst ourselves. We could also create an open. I don't think we want to. This is just my opinion. I don't think we want to make our meetings, our every other weekly meeting, just on the book group. So my
yeah,
suggestion would be that today or soon we pick a book group that we'd like to sponsor, let it out to all the members of the Lifeboat Academy network. Know we're going to come together, say in a month or so, because it takes people usually a month to read a book if it's any length, and we discuss it. So maybe today we could pick the book. Someone would take on, maybe we hand that over to the network group. I'm in that network outreach group. Maybe we talk at the network outward group. How do we want to get this out, that we're going to do this book group, and the heart and philosophy group's going to kind of run it. That would be my suggestion. And then I still need to know more about the 6 conversations system, but that I would say we could do the same for that. If you could give us a slight overview of how that works, we decide how best to, broadcast it out and how best to run it, right? And then we take some steps and we go do it.
okay, that sounds good to me. How about Pamela?
Yes, I think it's a good idea to brainstorm some possible titles. I'm in a couple of book clubs. One of them has a weekly cycle, the other has a monthly cycle. With both of them, it's usually just taken chapter by chapter or 2 chapters at a time. So reading the book entirely before, but book availability is a big issue. And I definitely have a couple of titles that I'm particularly fond of. Roland? Oh yeah, about the outreach group then carrying that to the greater community, etc.
Yeah, I my sense would be that oh, that's an interesting question. Do we vet books before putting them on the list of book club for the book club? Uh, and my first impression is no. I don't know if we want to have that level of control, or it feels a little like censorship. And at the same time, we can develop this list of books that is gigantic and not have a sense of what would actually be useful. Um, and then I was thinking about what is suggesting or having books in the book club that pertain specifically to the the Heartwork and philosophy, so the core of the Lifeboat Academy, and at the same time offer the format to the other guilds. You know, being part of the Farm Guild, I can see that there are some books that would be really useful to offer in a format where other people who are not specifically part of the Farm Guild could could be part of. So offering to the other guilds that if there are texts that they find really interesting that pertain specifically to their guild, that here's this format that you can use to have gatherings and discussions. And Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. So I can see, so it is, um it's not so much censorship as dividing amongst, or uh, having books that are guild specific, or texts that are guild specific. Yeah. Over to you, April.
Yeah, I think, I mean, part of our role is to offer what it is that will help develop the attributes that we kind of steward, I suppose. Um, and I think in that regard that it's fine for us to define for our guild and also suggest for other people that overall these will be useful. Um, and I do have some things in mind as a beginning spot because it's all going to take some time. And if we're trying to develop guild work uh, and differentiate amongst the guilds and onboard do all this other stuff all at once, we don't want to overload the system. And partly my thinking is coming from the book that relates to the six conversations. Um, and I'm going to jump ahead and propose that the first book that we do in the book club is the um, the book that we have the reference for in the chat, which is, I think it's called um, Communities something or other about belonging. I can't remember what the name of the actual book is.
Oh, that's okay. Should I click on the link? Would that give me the title of the book?
It
It,
actually looks like it's a series of YouTubes.
yeah, there's that too. But there is a book, and I'm just flipping through to see if I've made a note of what the book is.
And what are you seeing on screen now? I clicked on the link. Are you still seeing the Asana page, or are you seeing what I'm seeing, which is the Peter Block, the Six Conversations
Yeah,
website?
we're seeing that.
Okay,
Um,
I'm still learning how this works.
the name of the book is Community, the Structure of Belonging.
Okay.
And the reason that I would suggest that be the first book is that I've looked at half the six conversations in the YouTube productions and uh, would like at least us as a guild to go through the conversations as a guild exercise, and then perhaps to have all the other guilds do the same thing. We'll know, after we start having our conversations, whether that's useful or not. Um, Partly, I uh, am wanting to do that because I think that it is very much aligned with what we're already doing in terms of navigating tensions and other tools that we have, and that there is no harm to be done by going through the conversations and asking the questions. I can't really see a downside to that. And I think it would inform future action, actually. Um, and I'm a big fan of incisive questions. And at times in my career, I've been known as a question queen. So of course I would like the six conversations and the questions and all of that. So I have mixed the two things, the book club and the six conversations. Now on to Linda.
Well, why don't we just make the Six Conversations our first book, and why don't we go through it and decide how relevant it is and for whom?
Yep.
And then we would know how to talk with the the network and outreach group.
Yes. Thank you. On to Pamela.
Yeah, I can see the sense of that working as a kind of foundational, providing a sort of structure for a lot of other conversations that would follow. And despite the fact that I'm still hot on hospicing modernity, which I feel is another foundational book. This one is like the floor. The 6 conversations is a good relational floor. Roland?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's great. Hospicing modernity is my next yeah. Yep. So I like so I'm just putting this out because it's questions that I have in my mind. Given that we're still a small enough group, do we need to first only do the 6 conversations, read it as a book amongst ourselves, or given that I think we are all on one of the other guilds, um, and that there's a couple of people who aren't here today who are also in this guild. Do we need to for it just to be the guild, or can we just have it as an open invitation to the rest of the Lifeboat Academy guild members to participate in the 6 Conversations book club? Or is it that we want to read the book and in order to familiarize ourselves with the process so that we can then use the process, ask the questions in specific 6 conversations sessions with the farm, or not the farm, with the academy? Yes. So that's my question. Over to April. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make any sense, I can try to be more concise and clear.
I think it makes sense. What I'm going to suggest is that we, as the guild, do the 6 conversations, the video setup. I don't think we need to have read the book in order to before we start the conversations. I think we can use what's in the YouTube videos. They present the questions, they present a process for it, and then kind of let you loose to do it. And so I think that's the way that I would approach it, is to actually do it through the YouTube videos, which we can make sure everybody has access to. And at the same time, we'd be reading the book, and then that we come to some proposal for what we do with other guilds with it. Is that the same as what you said, Roland?
Well, I wasn't making a proposal. I have 2 different things. So continue the conversation.
Okay, so I guess I was making a proposal. And on to Linda.
Okay, I'm just looking at both books, and it seems to me like we should take some time. That book, what is it called? Hospitating Modernity looks great. It looks like we could, this would be my approach. Why don't we say, because we've only got a few minutes left in this meeting, why don't we, these YouTubes, I don't know how long they are. Let's see. There's 6 minutes there. Don't take me there. I'm just looking to see how long you are. Ah, yeah, they look short. So why don't we make a plan to go through each of the 6 conversations one at a time in our next group, but while we are reading the other book. And kind of do both at the same time, and that will have changed how we think about this. And I mean, if we're going to be sort of the catalyst in either the Six Conversations idea of however we want to get that out into the broader academy and starting a book group, we should have at least had some familiarity and gone through it ourselves first. So that would be my suggestion. Pamela?
Yeah, I would be inclined to separate them simply because of my feeling of overload when I think of having the two of them simultaneously. And hospicing is a very dense read in and of itself that I think could benefit from having the foundation of the Six Conversations in front of it. So that would be my inclination. Also, the Six Conversations are both simple, and because they're new and different ways of doing things, I think could really deserve focused concentration.
Yeah, thanks for that. I know I haven't read the Hospicing Modernity. I know that Ben is all aflame for it. He loves it, and he feels like it is a little bit like Sociocracy was to how the working style that he had developed. Hospicing and modernity gives develops the ideas that we've already been working with on the Lifeboat Academy. So he feels like the book is actually kind of a textbook for the Academy. In the same way that there's another book which might be more anyway, another book called Small Farm Futures, which is also very close to how we've been doing things more materially, or how we've been what we're working towards. I like the idea of just concentrating on the six conversations to start. And then if we know that the next book is Hospicing Modernity, and if it's that dense, I might want to start it a little earlier so that I can keep up. And the other thing I wanted to put forward is how are we going to organize this in terms of record keeping? And it could be that we could start. And a missed calling in my life was archivist. I would be interested in starting to work on some sort of bibliography, a big bibliography that's actually divided amongst the guilds, so or even cross-referenced for pertinent texts. So that's it for me. And thanks for keeping us on track with time, Linda. We are at 3:01. And April, should we do a last words or what's, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should summarize what we think we've got so far in less than 30 seconds and then a last word. So I think that we are landing on doing the six conversations ourselves and doing them as part of our meetings. So having a part of the meeting that's devoted to one of the conversations, I think, and continuing to develop the idea of the book club. And we can start asking for titles right away because we don't have to do anything. We can ask people to brainstorm and not have to do anything about that for a while if we want to send out a missive to the other guilds. That would be my summary of where we've come to. And that we send the rest of the items on our agenda to the next meeting as well. Have I summarized where we're at, do we think?
Well, what I what I heard and what I think I'm going to do, I heard Roland say, I think, that we might also, while we move our way through the six conversations, one conversation at a time, we could be, some of us, if we're interested, begin reading the hospiting modernity book, because if it's rather dense, that would give us time. You know, we don't have to necessarily choose a date in which we're going to talk about it, but some of us can at least be reading it. So I would add that. And we can also be asking other people for other suggestions.
Hmm.
Sorry, Pamela.
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I assume that people are welcome to read whatever they want when they want. And if you can have the bandwidth to giddy up on hospicing, that's dandy. Um, sure. Uh, Roland.
Well, and you've read it, Pamela. So you're twice. So you're way ahead of us. I just want to try to keep up. And I'm really curious about it because he wants to contact the author because she's at UVic, I think, and would like to. Anyway, I think he's completely enamored with the book and is really excited about it. So I've been hearing a lot about it, and now I just need to read it for myself so that I can organize all of the prattle that I've been getting about it into some sort of coherence. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I'm going to suggest last words now.
Okay.
And sorry.
Just a very quick one. She's also within the continuing ed department at UVic. She has a course, Facing Human Wrongs, and you don't need to have read the book in order to take that course. The course is an expression of the same principles and topics, areas of concern, and but this is significant brain decluttering stuff. So it's kind of intense in that regard, and it is only, I think, advisable to do it with other people because it's not a solo job. But anyway, Facing Human Wrongs is a course. I think the next iteration of it is happening sometime in the spring. So that's available. And she is doing more community outreach as well. So it would be interesting if Ben got her ear.
Be great to see a link.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to ask move into last words. So, Linda, last word.
Yeah, I'm excited about some of these things that we're going to start doing. And I guess I'd be excited also if we could start using, I guess it's not asana, but it's the other one. I'm sorry.
Slack.
Slack. We could, if we run across, because I'm reading stuff all the time, if we run across book or YouTubes that we think might be of interest to us and other people in the Lifeboat Academy, we should be sharing those. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of this meeting, is that that's going to become a more fundamental role for this group. So let's start using some of our tools and keeping each other informed. That's what makes me inspired to be part of this effort. On to you, Pamela.
I think that's a good idea, even though I'm having Slack trouble because it's out of sync with my operating system, but it is a powerful tool. Yeah, I'm glad I made it. I almost missed this, so I'm glad to be here and part of this conversation. Roland.
Well, I just wanted to thank all of you for engaging in the technology that we're putting forward, because not being a technophile myself, I appreciate when there's something new and something else that gets added to the list of things that it can be a little dot dot dot. So I appreciate your willingness to do that. Yeah, and what I'm proposing to do, because I am no good at taking notes, and I don't know if anyone else has taken notes, but um, I hope I'm not overpromising, but I can go over our meeting today and pull out, since it's recorded, pull out the salient points and share it with you, and also maybe share it as a report for the coordinating circle. So that's it for me. Over to April.
Well, thanks for that, Roland. And I have been taking some notes, so I'll send you my notes as well. I'm just announcing as the last word that I'm going to read the community structure of belonging book first, because I think that it is so aligned with the conversations. And then I'll leap into other books. And also to say I don't have very much time, so picking and choosing to do some things for sure. And I might be calling on the rest of you to bring me up to speed, to give me the book report so that I can be part of that too. Yeah, thanks everybody for responding for this time. I'm sorry that we went over time, but I will try to stick to time boundaries better on other occasions as a caretaking type person. I think that is all. Roland, anything you want to end off with?
No, that's great. And we're 10 minutes over, so this seems like a good time to stop.
Nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Bye.